fact, while the number of workers between the ages of 25 and 54 decreased by 6.5% since 2008, the number working over the age of 55 has increased by 12%. Every week, we focus on ways to get a jump start in the workforce. Valerie Burton is the author of Where Will You Go From Here? Valerie, thank you very much for joining us.
Good to be with you, Gary.
So tell me why so many middle-aged and older Americans are going back into the workforce.
Yeah, and it's a few different things, I think. I mean, because these numbers apply even for people that are 75 and older. So a lot of it is people are afraid. I mean, there are a lot of people that were on the verge of retirement a few years ago, and then everything just kind of went downhill. And so even if they've been able to regain some of those retirement savings, they're afraid to step out of the job market. And some who jumped out of the job market before 2008 are going back in order to shore up some of that retirement.
I mean, is this a trend we expect will continue in the next few years?
Well, I think it will continue in part because older isn't what it used to be. You know, people really like to have a sense of purpose every day. And there's even research that shows that on average, men who live to age 95 don't retire until 80. So there really are some health benefits and longevity benefits to working longer. But for most people right now, I think that trend has to do with the economy and people needing to be able to live month to month.
So I would imagine, though, that you have to kind of have a good attitude if you go back into the workforce for financial reasons alone, or it's not going to succeed, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you want to really have an optimistic attitude. I think a lot of people just kind of assume, well, I'm over 55, I'm over 65, it's going to be much harder. Even if there is ageism in the workplace, you want to make sure that you don't go in with a chip on your shoulder, that you have a positive attitude, you go for it, and it might take you a little bit longer, but just be relentless and stick with it.
You know, technology, that's an important thing for us to talk about.
Yeah.
Because even in this business, the news business, when I started back in the 1730s, centuries ago, around the founding of our republic, but no, it feels that way because we were still using manual typewriters, you know. So you really have to stay on top of the technology. And I'm wondering for older workers who've been out of the workforce for a while, who aren't familiar with Blackberries and iPads and iPhones and computers.
It can be intimidating.
So what do you do?
Well, you have to make a decision. You're not going to let it intimidate you to the point where you don't learn. So, you know, don't buy into the idea that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You know, learn. You might learn from younger people that are around you, or some people are even going back and taking classes so that they can really kind of brush up on the new technology. It might take you longer. Be patient, but stick with it.
You were talking about ageism. How big of a problem is that in American workplaces, discrimination against older workers, particularly those who are coming back to work and are, you know, don't really remember everything as well as they used to in the workplace?
Well, it does exist, and we have to also remember that the more experience you have, you know, don't sell yourself short. You've got a lot of maturity, you've got a lot of experience to bring to the table, but that also costs companies more money. So sometimes that ageism has to do with the fact that you can find a younger worker that might be less expensive to hire. And so sometimes you have to adjust your expectations and really understand what your goals are in retirement. Some people are really just looking to supplement their retirement income, so maybe they don't need as much money, while others are looking for those 40-hour-a-week positions.
Do you think embracing the technology is the toughest challenge that people have coming back to work in their 50s and 60s?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So much has changed. I mean, even for someone that's 40, you know, things have changed dramatically. And so for someone who's 65 or 70, that really can be very, very intimidating. But again, you can learn. It may take you a little bit longer, but you can learn.
And finally, your lifestyle. You're used to a certain lifestyle when you're not in the workplace. It changes dramatically when you get back in the workplace, right?
Absolutely.
How do you deal with that?
Well, when you're looking at going back into the workplace, understand what lifestyle you're looking for. And so for some people, they really are just looking for something that keeps them busy, that kind of keeps them sharp. Others are looking maybe to go back in for 5 or 10 years. And if that's the case and you're looking at retiring somewhere other than where you live right now, that can be a great opportunity. Maybe you go ahead and relocate now to where you're planning to retire, and you land that new job where you are.
Valerie Burton, good sense advice.
It's good to be with you. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.